Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video. And in today's video I'm going to be predicting the Hiruta versus Park fight. If you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do indeed like the video, and let's get straight into it. So going into this fight, Hiruta is 5-0 with 1 KO and Park is 26-3 with 8 KOs. Hopefully that pronunciation of the last name, Park, I believe that's just her last name. I might be missing a bit of it, but I hope I'm not. Going into this fight, it's going to be for the WBO World Super Flyweight title. Hiruta's last fight was a win via TKO in round 1 versus Croft, and Park's last fight was a win via unanimous decision versus Wang. This is in Hiruta's home country of Japan. Hiruta is 27 and Park is 38. Hiruta is a southpaw, and this fight is, in my opinion, the most entertaining and the most closest in my opinion fight out of all the fights on this card. But this card is a good card. I'm a fan of it. It's a good way to start off the year in Japan, this card, and it's giving women boxers some big fights, and I'm here for it. Like I say, it's a good card showing the Asian talent of women's boxing, and we're gonna see some good fights out of it. And of course, these being for world titles, this one for the WBO World Super Flyweight, like I mentioned. Hiruta obviously coming off a stoppage victory, the first one of her professional career, a dominating win versus Croft against an opponent, Aiden Croft, who really didn't look like she was wanting to get hit or willing to get hit, and every time that she got touched she went to the ground. It was a strange fight, but Hiruta is going to be coming into this fight with a lot of confidence, of course, as especially the younger fighter as well, the one who's got the momentum, the one who's coming off a win, the one who's the home fighter. She's going to be having a lot of momentum. Obviously Park's also coming off a win. She's doing well for herself off of the losses which she suffered on in her career a little bit earlier on. I mean, she's now coming back and she's looking convincing in her recent performances, and it's been looking good for her as well. And Hiruta obviously being a southpaw, it's going to be a bit trickier for Park to deal with that, but Park's the one that has got the more experience, and she's been fighting, I believe, professionally since 2005, so a long time, and of course that experience is going to add elements to this fight. And like I say, in my opinion, I think this is going to be the most entertaining fight out of all the fights on this card. But to speak about the other fights on this card, so the two other ones that are for world title fights, I mean 3 world title fights in one card is impressive. So Kuroki versus Matsuda is for the WBA and WBO World Atomweight titles, in which I think Kuroki will win via unanimous decision. Kuroki is coming off a good win versus Alarcon in a fight which I thought was going to be a tough fight, and it was a tough fight, but it was a good fight and a good performance from her, and she's now coming back in and starting to look good in her more recent fights. And Matsuda, she's the up-and-coming fighter. She's the one that's going to be putting on a show in this fight, but I haven't seen anything too convincing of her in her performances to really make a claim for why she should win this fight, especially, like I say, when Kuroki is on a good run, and I think she will win via decision. And then the other fight on this card, Iwakawa versus Yamanaka for the IBF World Atomweight title. I think Yamanaka will win via TKO in round 4. She is looking really good as an up-and-coming fighter. She's somebody which I am excited for, and I do think has a lot of potential. She's been getting stoppages. She's been looking very convincing. She's very sharp in her performances, very attacking, well-minded, and I think she's got a lot of potential. Iwakawa is a good test for her coming up. This is probably her toughest test, but Iwakawa's been shown that she can be beat, and she has been. But if Yamanaka is here and going to get a stoppage, it's going to make a statement. Iwakawa's never been stopped. Like I say, it's going to make a statement. Iwakawa is going to be probably coming in with head movement as she normally does and trying to outmove her, but I think you can't outmove Yamanaka the whole fight, and when she does end up unleashing her hands and catching you in the flow of your head movement, then she's going to cause damage, and she's going to deal damage, and she's going to end up winning by a stoppage in that way. That's another fight which, like I say, I'm excited for, and will be interesting to see the outcome. But going back to the fight I'm speaking about here, Hiruta versus Park. Hiruta, like I mentioned, she's going to be coming in with confidence. As a fighter, she's a front foot fighter. She likes pressure in her opponents. She's overwhelming. She has momentum with her, like I've mentioned. She's got fast hands, good combinations. She's got pouncing attacks. She works well in close. She's sometimes too fast for her opponents with them pouncing attacks, with them fast hands, even with her relatively fast footwork to get in front of you. She lets her hands go. She can deliver stoppages against Croft. Obviously, like I say, it was a strange stoppage, but she dropped her 3 times, and with every single punch she was landing, it was dropping her. So there's obviously something with them attacks that was just way too much. And so, you don't see many fighters like that have complete shutout victories like that. And it was that, and it was a very good performance. And so it does show that she can deliver stoppages. She plants her feet well, and she controls the centre well. She is a fighter which has got a lot of hype around her. She's going to have a lot of pressure fighting in Japan here, and it's going to be interesting to see how she deals with it. Of course, she's dealing with everything so far at the moment, but this is most definitely her toughest test so far. The negatives about her, obviously she's got that less experience. She most definitely does kind of walk or jump onto attacks, and so she can be timed when she's coming in. She's not really got much head movement, can be a little bit too aggressive at times. She does headhunt quite a bit. Sometimes she can be trying to pick her shots and then just be using arm punches from doing it, and it seems like she's definitely not putting her whole body into her punches. And so if she's still delivering stoppages, and she delivered a stoppage in her last fight like I mentioned, without fully putting her shots and putting her whole body into her shots, it shows that she's got potential in having half decent power. She can overreach a bit. She has a low guard. She hasn't really been put on the back foot, so we're going to have to wait and see how she deals on the back foot. And so, these questions are going to be answered in this fight. I think it's going to be a tough test, a good test for her. But Park as a fighter, like I say, it's going to be a very tough fight for Hiruta. Park as a fighter, I think she does better at mid-range. She's willing to fight in close, but I think she does better at mid-range. She changes levels well. She's also got fast hands. She's got a very consistent jab, which doesn't really have too much power in it, but is very consistent. She's got good combinations. She moves well. She does move better than I would say Hiruta does. She's willing to let her hands go as well. She's probably the more accurate out of the two. She outworks. Hiruta outworks. She tries to outwork. She's got good technical ability. She's probably the cleaner boxer out of the two. She's willing to trade. She won't be bullied. She's got solid feints, and she's resilient. She can take a good shot. On the negatives about her, she can also struggle a bit on the back foot as well. So I think it is going to be a battle of who puts who on the back foot. But with Park not really wanting or willing to be bullied, it's going to be difficult to get on the back foot. She's got a lack of counters, so I don't think she's going to be able to time Hiruta coming in especially well. She can be hurt to the body. Hiruta, it does headhunt a bit at times, so I don't really know if that's too much of a problem. She struggles planting her feet herself, Park. I think when she does plant her feet, she probably does her worst work, and she can, become a bit sloppy there. She can tire. She's not physically strong. She can be kept at a range, and I think she also struggles keeping range herself at times. She's got a weak guard, a lack of power, can seem a little bit lost at times when things aren't going her way in close. She leaves her shots in, can leave her jab in a little bit too long at points. She can cross her feet a bit when she's willing to stand and trade. She does lunge in, and she can also be timed coming in like that of Hiruta. Hiruta is the favourite for this fight, and I think that Park will win via unanimous decision. I'm going with the upset here. I think it's going to be an interesting fight to say the least. I think Hiruta could definitely find success in the early rounds, but I think she could become possibly frustrated by Park, and I think Park could move round well. If she just avoids her in the earlier rounds, move around well, keep somewhat of a distance, keep just being consistent with shots. Obviously she's going to be the away fighter, so it's going to be more difficult, but I think she could outpoint her, outscore her, possibly land the cleaner punches out of the two, with the accuracy, with the fact that she has that, in my opinion, better technical ability, and show you her experience and go on to win a unanimous decision. And for her, that would be a massive win for her career. And fights she could go on to next, there'll be loads of options, but fights I've said, Ruiz, Silva, Parker, Price, they're all names in the division who could be possible opponents. They're all just up-and-coming fighters that I'm sure would make for a big fight and probably get her the most amount of money in the division. I don't think she would probably go on to fight for another world champion straight away. But Zhang Ye is another fighter who's at a similar point in their career to that of Hiruta. That of Park. And Jung Young she's the older fighter. She's 44. She's, probably past her best in her career, but she's performing well. She hasn't really suffered a loss in a while, and I think that could make for a good fight, and that could be a good domestic Korean fight. But you never know, that could happen. But like I say, a load of options will be available for her if she wins this big fight. But yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you did enjoy. Like if you did, like this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.